Hey guys, what is going on? We are in the zone. This is episode 178, and as always, we have the yearly anniversary of the Toronto Maple Leafs getting eliminated in Game 7 podcast. This one's brought to you by frickin', I don't know, Scotiabank. Fucking bank accordingly. But yeah, the Leafs, Pagniello, we lose 2-1 in Game 7. Now this year, we're supposed to have more respect, and we didn't blow a fucking game. We didn't do this, we didn't do that. But guess what? We still lost the game at home. Only had one goal. There was a disallowed goal in the game. Overall, how are you feeling? I know we're used to this feeling, but all in all, were you really surprised here?
Nah, not really. I'm just happy that there wasn't some big fucking collapse, because really that was the only difference this year. Um, but yeah, very similar feeling. This time around, though, if we're gonna try to stay positive, like it's probably the best series they played out of all the other first round fucking exits. Um, Jack Campbell was great in Game 7. He led in 2 goals against the Lightning. I don't know what more you can ask for. He gave you a fucking chance. Leafs played well. They just lost. Running out of answers at this point, aren't we?
Oh man. Yeah, my prediction was they were gonna lock this shit up in 5 and send the Beach Bulls home, but that didn't happen. I thought maybe the 6th game, but unfortunately wasn't meant to be. And game 7 we saw what happened. I think they just got unlucky again. They outplayed Tampa, I thought, for majority of the series. No matter what John Cooper said, like what he was in his post game scrums and talking about, we outscored them or we're putting more pucks in their net. Yeah, Campbell has like a 2 point whatever save percentage. The Leafs scored more goals on Vasilevsky at that point, so they were the better offensive team. I thought it's just Tampa, the bounces went their way, and now they're in the second round, and the Leafs are questioning again what went wrong, who they bring in to change it, and I think it's just unfortunate just because they look committed to getting the job done this time.
Oh, absolutely. The unfortunate thing with this whole series was game 5, we win a great game, 3-2, or sorry, 4-3 in Toronto. That was just an absolute fantastic game. Down the whole game, comeback win. Game 6, it was not like game 4 where we got absolutely killed. I think what was it, 6-1 in game 4. We go to Tampa Bay. We start the game fairly well. That might have been the best start we had in a game in the series. And then overtime comes, and we literally beat the shit out of them in overtime. We outshot them like 9-3. And I'm pretty sure on that goal, that was like all 3 of the shots in overtime for them. Matthews trips at center ice. They get a lucky bounce. Braden Point just had a terrible series all in all. And then, of course, he will get the OT winner to send them to a game 7. And then what happens? Braden Point even gets injured in game 7, and we cannot get a fucking goal. Kudos to them for having like 30 block shots. Nick Paul had the game of his life. I guess I'll start now. You mentioned we don't really know where to go from here. We felt this so many times, so many roster turnover. Jack Campbell's a free agent. Mark Giordano's a free agent. Spets is a free agent. I'll start with you, Aulino. Where do you start with these players when you look at the roster through and through? Are you making a big trade? Are you trying to get a big free agent? What's going on with this team?
I would look at Matthews, Marner, and Riley and not even answer the phone. I think they should keep them. Last year there was all those people panicking and saying Marner needed to go. He had a slump and trashing him, and then he came out and had a career year this year. Matthews got 60 goals, so those two together, I don't want to ruin that chemistry. I think Tavares, unfortunately, he probably won't go anywhere with his contract, so he has a limited no move, I think, and it's going to be a lot tougher to do that kind of trade. So that leaves William Nylander out. He has a great contract in terms of what he produces, not too much left on it. So if they are going to look at like a big change, I think Nylander is going to be the guy that's the odd man out.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty much with that. It's unfortunate too, because like the Leafs are they're in a situation now where it's like everyone's producing, everyone's blossoming beautifully. Nylander just coming off a career year, put up 80 points, but like when you look at the guys they already have signed up, he would be the odd man out. They got to fuck with the D. The first thing that I think of, like, as much as I like Brody and Muzzin, you can't fucking pay both of them $5+ million on the same team. And then, you got Riley too now. So I like those guys, but I think it's too much money for those two. Maybe something's got to give there.
Yeah, I agree. And I think it was after the Blue Jacket series, we were kind of talking about, can we really afford to trade Willie at this point? And that was 2 years ago. And now you're looking at it. We need to upgrade our defense like badly. Muzzin is not the same player he was even like 2 series ago when we faced Columbus. Like 2 years ago, he was actually, doing his job, being physical, shutting down, playing elite minutes. This year, I think he averaged like 18 minutes, didn't do much, couldn't get the puck out of his own zone, getting about $5.4 million is just, I think I'm starting there, boys. If there's a team out there that really is desperate for maybe cap flex, and they're really low on the cap floor and they need a contract, maybe they do us a favor, but it's tough with Muzzin. He's a player at this point in his career where you look at the salary and it just does not add up. But then, Mark Giordano, I went to the game 5. He might have been our best defenseman that game. Just being that smart veteran defenseman, knowing what he does in all three areas on the ice, the neutral zone, the offensive zone, the defensive zone. I know he's 38 years old. I know he said he has a couple more years left. Like, Pagniello, I'll start with you. Like Muzzin and Brody are getting $5 million. Do you think he's going to get that tremendous hometown discount at like $2 million, or what are you thinking here? Because I know Dubas wants to make big moves. I guess it has to be Muzzin.
I think so. Yeah, because I don't think Giordano will demand too much, whether it's a hometown discount or not. Like, I just think he's at the point of his career where he won't set you back. Jake Muzzin he's making a little too much. He missed a good chunk of the year. I think the injury fucked him up. When he came back, he wasn't really the same. But yeah, there's just like not as much impact of the last couple of years. When he came in, it was fucking awesome. But like, I think we're at a point now. They got to try to find suitors, and I hope they don't have to attach a bunch of picks to it, because like Giordano is obviously, we all like him, but that was 2 second-round picks for a guy that was playing on your bottom pairing defenseman, and we're out in the first round again. So I hope they don't fall into the trap of having to attach picks to try to get rid of guys.
Yeah, like Giordano, like as I'm thinking about it, maybe if you can get a deal that works, but I think he's probably looking at Calgary right now. Like, the only reason why he left in the first place was because of his contract and the expansion, and they found an opportunity there. So I think if they offer him something, if it's like $2 million, he'll probably go back there, end his career, like 1 or 2 years. But if he wants to stay in Toronto, like, you also have to realize he is up there in age now. Like, who's going to be his defensive partner? Like, could you put him back with TJ Brody and they can have that chemistry again that they had in Calgary? We didn't even really see that a lot in the playoffs. So I think they were trying to keep them apart for a little bit and only certain situations. But I think right now your best bet, try to find another young D to come in and eat up minutes and something that's more affordable.
Yeah, I mean, you're looking at a team here. Defensively, I thought that this was probably the best year for us. Looking at the way that our D was shaped up, going up against a team that, they are probably the better defensive team when you look at, Cernak and how great Foot played in the series, and obviously the greatness of Victor Hedman. But, you had Brody, you had Muzzin, you had, Giordano. Those three alone should be shutting down the guys pretty well. And I thought, guys, you're going to hate me for mentioning this, but I thought a guy that played absolutely incredible in Game 7 for the Lightning was former fucking Leaf Bogosian. I thought he did his job perfectly. He was hitting, he was blocking. I think he had 6 block shots that game. Like, I think the Leafs really could have used that. Corey Perry's another guy the Leafs should have offered. I know probably Tampa offered it immediately as soon as they saw he was a free agent. But now we talked a bit about the defense. I really, this really bothered me. I don't know if it bothered you guys as much as it bothered me, but putting Hall in the lineup and taking Liljegren out. What were your initial thoughts on that when they announced that? Because to me, that was baffling because Hall is very similar to Brody, Muzzin, and Giordano. Giordano, obviously, I'd rather have than those three, no doubt about it. But what were your thoughts with taking Liljegren out?
Yeah, it was kind of surprising. I thought Liljegren was playing all right. He was developing as the year went on. Got much better as the year went on, actually, because he was scratched like the first couple of months. So I don't know what his thought process was. Maybe he wanted more of a defensive guy. I don't know. Like Hole, we all like Hole. Like he was in the fucking ECHL just a few years ago, and he found a home on this team. But I don't know. I would have kept Liljegren, and it kind of threw me off. So yeah, that was a surprising one.
Yeah, I think the only thing there, like he makes a lot of money, like more than what you would think a bottom pair defenseman makes. So I think they were just looking at like we have to maybe get him going and hopefully he can live up to that. But they didn't really have too much to choose from. Like I know Liljegren did develop, but you're also putting him in a situation where if he lets in some like a goal or responsible for a turnover, it's going to look bad on the coaching staff. So I just think they went with whatever got them to the playoffs. And unfortunately for Hall, like it didn't live up to it, and he's going to get like grilled for that. So I think they need to address that. Like a six pairing defenseman. They had that with Bogosian, but he wasn't playing like he did on Tampa, which is surprising. But if they can get something similar there where they can rely on someone for that role, they need to look at that at free agency.
I mean, the other thing that puzzled me with this whole move and it pissed me off was, you bring Giordano in February, and that was right at the time when Liljegren started actually playing. Like he was, like you mentioned, Pagniello, he was scratched for the first couple months. Him and Sandin have been battling for that final, defensive spot for the last 2 years, and I absolutely love seeing that. But you had Liljegren with Giordano for most of the end of the year there, and he was looking fantastic. His confidence was up, and then all of a sudden, you're just going to bench the guy. I don't know. Like, I understand playing Hall. He's been there before. He was a part of the last two series, and I guess he really wanted to go with the experience in this situation. Because again, you're looking at the forwards. Abruzzese didn't sniff minutes. Robertson didn't play. So I think that was maybe the mentality there, but I don't know, Aulino. I definitely would have played Liljegren, especially in a Game 7 where you look at the last couple of years. We struggled to score in Game 7s, and Liljegren, I think, could have been that similar type of defenseman in Morgan Riley. Not saying he's Morgan Riley, but bringing the puck up, being that elusive skating defenseman. You pair him with Giordano. Giordano could just stay back, watch Liljegren pinch at times, and I think that just would have benefited the team a little more if they played Liljegren. But now I want to kind of talk about Bunting and Kerfoot. I know both those guys are not necessarily – they're fan favorites, but, as the series kind of went on, Kerfoot just didn't look too good, especially the last 3 games of the series. Game 5, he was kind of invisible. Game 6, he gave that costly turnover, and then, Game 7, they shut him down pretty good. So I'll start with you, Pagniello. These two guys specifically, Kerfoot's on a pretty light contract, but, you want to make a trade, you have to ship out a contract. Is Kerfoot the guy to go just based off of his production and his value?
I think so. Between the two, I'd like to keep Bunting. But yeah, Kerfoot's a nice player. Like he's only making $3.5 million. It's not gonna, no one's gonna flip out over that. So he'll get you 40 to 50 points. He's one of those guys you could play in most situations, whether on the top line or third line. You can move him around a lot. He's pretty versatile forward. I don't know. I liked him. At times he can be frustrating because he's always looking pass first. But like he's super skilled and he's got so much speed. I think he's only like 27. He hasn't been in the league too long, really. I keep forgetting he played the full 4 years in college and he fucking came in at like 23. But I like Kerfoot. They could definitely add him to sweeten a certain deal. I definitely wouldn't trade him straight up for anything. So yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I'd probably keep Bunting over Kerfoot. I would look at what's out there, and there's a need there. I think if you have both of them, like it's gonna limit what you can do offensively. So maybe one keep and the other one package in a trade, or if they're both UFAs, I try to keep Bunting at a low number because he kind of fit well with Matthews and Marner. He played with, I think, Tavares a little bit in Nylander, so I think he fits better with what this team's trying to do.
Yeah, and I'm looking here now. It's going to be fun talking about this. I'm going to bring it up. Looking at the free agents for defensemen in this year's crop of free agents for D, it's looking pretty interesting. Keith Yandle's a free agent. Chris Russell's a free agent. If you're the Leafs, would you kind of go after a defensive guy like a Eric Goodbrand or a Mark Stahl, or maybe even a Ryan Murray? What do you guys think of some of these names? Even there's Ben Sherratt. Nikita Zadorov to me is intriguing. He's a freaking tree.
Fuck. Out of all of those names, I'd probably go with Sherratt. I just want someone that moves the needle, someone that has an impact, really. Because we have a lot of defensemen that just kind of play off other people and kind of play their role. Riley kind of leads the way. Like Muzzin and Brody, they're nice, but they're kind of like they stay at home now. They're at that point in their careers. So I want an impact defenseman, whether it's an offensive or defensive guy. You just know whenever he's on the ice, something's going to happen. I feel like out of all of those guys, it could be Sherratt, but we'll see.
Yeah, that's a tough one. It just depends. Like some of those guys might want more money, especially now if they know the Leafs need them in that role. But maybe Sherratt would fit in, but it's gonna be a tough situation there. I think the Leafs would probably be better off trading for a top 4 defenseman than trying to work the market and see like get into a bidding war with some of these guys.
Now, call me crazy, Pagniello. This is going off your point. You said you want a guy that doesn't really stay at home, can move the needle, get some offense. There's a guy that's a free agent who is a former Norris winner, PK Subban. If you're the Leafs, are you going out and calling Subban maybe at a cheap option, cheap contract too, or what are you doing there?
Yeah, I take a shot at it. I mean, I'd go pretty low. I mean, it's fucking Subban. I mean, you put him in a situation in Toronto, you're just not really – he won't be relied on half as much as he was in the past. Much better team. Maybe you just have him sit back and fucking bomb it from the point. Who knows? But new deal, why not?
Yeah, I think they should. Low risk, high reward type of thing. He already made like $9 million every stop he went to. So I think now he'll be looking maybe take a little bit of a discount. And I think the Leafs would be the perfect option. He could play with Riley, camp at the corner, take a slap shot, go on the power play on the second unit, and manage his minutes. So yeah, I'd go after PK Subban 100%.
Yeah, I think that's a match made in heaven. I think he's a guy in New Jersey that was floundering because you have Ty Smith, Ty Smith and Severson, who I guess took over the power play there. I don't know how, but yeah, Subban wasn't really playing much power play. So he's a guy that I know Giordano's a smart defenseman. He played mostly second power play with his time here, and of course Sandy and Liljegren. But I think Subban would bring that uniqueness for sure. And he's got a clapper at the point. I think he's not as bad as his stats show the last couple of years. Like he's been abysmal when you look at his stats. Like I think last year he had 24 points. The year before that he had like 16. There's no way he's that bad. I want to say like 35 now is the the marker for him. But I think that would literally rejuvenate him. And again, of course, you add that grit and that electricity on the back end that can really spark the team there. But I think this trade could really spark the team. I don't want to put you guys too much on the spot. I know I already have them enough today. Jack Campbell, it's not looking good. He's a free agent. It looks like he wants 5.5, in between 5.5 and 7 million. If you're the Leafs, I know it's hard. I know we're in cap hell. Are you trying to ship out 2 contracts to keep Jack Campbell, or are you trying to maybe trade some prospects, juggle around the lines, and maybe go out and trade for a goalie?
Oh, what goalie can you realistically trade for, though, that's going to take over your number one spot? Because if that's going to be the case, maybe you should just try to hold on to Jack. Not fucking break bank for him. I don't know if I'd give him 5.5 long term, but I don't know if there's another goalie out there that you could be like, yeah, we're going to trade for him and give him a 5-year deal. Like, are they like Freddie Anderson walking was surprising the other year. I don't know if that's going to happen this year again.
Probably John Gibson. I know it might sound crazy, but his numbers, like he's still capable. He faces a lot of shots in Anaheim. They're not doing the best, but I think a change of scenery. He's a guy that in the past is unbelievable. I think if he's on the Leafs, that can turn things around. So I think it'd be a high risk type of thing, but I would go John Gibson over Peter Mrazek right now.
Oh,
I think anybody would. Fuck, Mrazek's been pretty bad. I don't think he has I think he doesn't have a no trade clause. But you're looking at his salary and his production and his injury history. It's like, who the fuck wants that? I don't think anyone really does. And Shalgren's a big unknown. And you made a good point, Pagniello. I don't know if we're going to allow a goalie to walk two summers in a row. But here's the thing. If he wants 5.5 in between 5.5 and 7, I look at his rap sheet and it doesn't scream that salary whatsoever. I know he's had a good year the last 2 years, but this is a good Leaf team in front of him. I mean, like we saw what he did from January to March. Like that was holy crap. I don't think I've ever seen a goalie that bad in a while on the Leafs. Like he had like an 880 save in 3 months, which is, I don't know how, but he did it. But if you are Dubas, are you actually giving him like $6 million, or are you just saying, hey, listen, man, like we appreciate how great you've been. You know, you've been arguably a top 10 goalie in the league the last 2 years, but you don't have the stats don't back it up. You don't have enough success in your resume. You know, like what are you thinking there salary wise for Campbell? Are you thinking about 4.5?
Yeah, I'm thinking. Well, I was thinking he'd get like Mikheyev's money, but people are saying 5.5 for him, which to me is also fucking stupid. So I think for Campbell, I'd go in the 4.5 range. Exactly what you said. Like fucking, it's just the last couple of years he's really started to come on, but it's not a big enough sample size to get that kind of money yet. So I would love to keep Jack for a couple more years at like 4.5. That would be ideal for me.
Yeah, I would also remind him you came on the team as a backup in a trade that it was really not even for you. So you were like the throw in the trade as a backup, making $1.1 million. So I'd present that to him at the meeting if his agent and him start getting a little confident with the number that they're throwing around. I think they need to say, okay, our limit here is 4.5 for maybe 2 or 3, see how it goes, and maybe extend it longer. If not, I would say, you know what, there's the door. It's been fun. We're going to go out and get another goalie. So they got to play hardball, I think, with some of these negotiations, or you're going to end up in a situation where you're going to give everybody $6 million and put yourself in even worse of a situation going forward. So I think Dubas got to sit down, rally up in the war room over there with Shanahan and get these numbers going.
Yeah, I mean, like the guy, it's cool how he got his like nickname and the whole thing where it's Sue, and you know everyone thinks they're booing him, but they were saying Soup. You know, I think it's fun. You know, the interaction that the fans have with him. I think that's another indication. You look at let's go in the meeting and say, listen, like the fans love you. They're chanting your name every save you make. What is it going to take to make it work? We don't want you to leave with a sour taste in your mouth. You've deserved the money that you're offered, but again, the sample size it's not big enough. And you know, I was talking to you guys before about trading for a goalie, and you know, Pagniello, you really didn't have an answer there. But would you go out there and really kick tires with maybe the Washington Capitals tandem, or maybe like I don't know, go to Pittsburgh? Like there's so many options. I don't really understand the goalie market anymore, just based off of the last 2 years. You look at the way the goalie stats have become. You guys could all vouch for me on this. Like I want to say there's 7 independent great goalies in the league. Everyone else, it's kind of let's rely on the team, let's rely on the D, and I'll make the stops when I have to. But for the most part, a lot of these goalies are not independently great. So, I mean, I guess if Campbell's going to walk, if I'm Dubas, I'm looking at the Washington Capitals tandem, no doubt about it.
What are you willing to trade, though, for one of these guys?
It probably wouldn't be a lot, honestly. Like Vanacek is 25. I think his career best is like a 915, 914 save. You know, him and Samsonov have been splitting time the last 2 years. So I want to say maybe Kerfoot straight up. Like, I don't know if like how much Washington values their goalies, because you got to remember the Caps haven't won a series since they won the Cup. So they're in a similar situation as the Leafs, where they're looking at their roster and it's like, okay, we need to make some changes here. We need to have some turnover here. Like, we need to figure out what the hell's going on. We need to figure out who the number one goalie is. So if I'm Toronto and you know, you're getting desperate, Jack Campbell's in a walk, why not try and go out and get a 25-year-old goalie? But again, it depends how much they're confident on Joseph Wall and Eric Shalgren moving forward. I don't really know though.
Yep, I like it. I just hope it doesn't set them back, really, because I don't really see a lot of teams handing out these goalies. So I hope they don't come to the Leafs and be like, well, you're a good team, so we'll just start with a first-round pick, and then we'll throw in Kerfoot, and then we'll go to your prospects. So I hope it doesn't go to that.
I don't think you can really do much there, though. They're going to want to say Kerfoot and future considerations. Like, that's why I would stay away from Washington, because you don't even know what you're going to get with those guys either.
And on the other side of things too, Aulino, like I brought it up before, I don't know if Pagniello was in that podcast. Like, if we can't get a younger goalie just because of the trade, and you know, you don't want to trade future assets and for it to set us back, Pagniello, I'll start with you. Like, this is like as desperate as they come. Do you go to Dallas and call for like Braden Holtby? Like, if you're so desperate at this point, because there are still goalies out there. Like, how about Cam Talbot? I really don't know what his value is. He's 34, 35, still relatively good. Like, are there any experienced goalies out there that you would go after?
Oh my God. When you said Holtby, I was fucking immediately turned off, honestly. Are there any other names there? Out of everyone that was said, it goes right back to the beginning. It's probably John Gibson, but he's on a fucking no move, and he's hurt often. But like, think about Braden Holtby on the Leafs. What does that really do?
How about Jonathan Quick?
That would be pretty funny. How about Mike Smith, boys?
Oh no.
Hey, you know what though? How old is Mike Smith? Like fucking 41?
He's 41. Yeah, he's a legend.
The guy's starting, and he's in the playoffs in the second round. Good for him, honestly. The fucking Yodi days, and he's still doing it.
Well, you know, here's worst case scenario. Let's say, Aulino, we go with your approach. Campbell leaves and we have Mrazek. Like, what are you expecting from Mrazek in a full year if he plays it? Because I know he won't. But like, let's say he does. Like 60 game starts. What are his stats looking like?
Oh man, I'm hoping 47 wins if we're lucky, and a save percentage just over 900. So like a 901, 903. I'd keep my expectations pretty low.
More wins than losses, guaranteed. Goals against and save are a toss-up. And yeah,
it's definitely going to be interesting, guys. I mean, it's the Leafs. They disappoint every year. This is the year where they kind of didn't disappoint. They just didn't win. Faced a really good team, but you know, I want to finally move on. But you know, the number one free agent this year is Patrice Bergeron. The Bruins did get eliminated against the Carolina Hurricanes in 7, thank God. But you know, there are rumors that Patrice Bergeron might be retiring. Now, to me, it seems a little too soon. I think he's 35, 36. If you're Montreal, are you going out there and are you trying to get Patrice Bergeron, or do you think he just wants to retire if it's not Boston? Kind of like a Spezza situation.
Take it, buddy.
Yeah, I think he's got more years in him. If not Boston, I think he's just going to look around and see what the best situation would be for him. Maybe Montreal, that seems like a likely option. Or depending on what happens with Pittsburgh, him going and playing with Crosby makes sense. So I'll go Boston, Pittsburgh, or Montreal.
I'm not going to lie, boys. I think it's all bullshit. I think he's like the other teams, because I've been hearing the Montreal rumors too. And obviously you see the fucking connection, but I just feel like he's a Bruin. I don't really see him going anywhere. He could probably play fucking 5 more years if he wants, but that's a very big if. I think he will play next year, but I think it's for the Boston Bruins. I don't think he'll go to any other team.
Now, did you guys see Carey Price's exit conference?
Nah, what happened?
He basically was saying how there was a reporter that asked, like, are you accepting of this season, like the way that you kind of went out there to end the year? Did you have any thoughts in your mind that this may be it? And he said, yeah, like, this might be it. I'm kind of content with where my career is at, and I have to take care of myself. And he was basically, I don't think he's, concluding that his career is over, but there were definitely signs of hints there. So it's kind of crazy. He's the same age as Sid, but, off all the pressure he's had in his career, and I guess the mental effect that it's had on Carey, do you guys actually see him hanging them up? Because that would be just one of the saddest days in hockey, honestly. Like, a goalie as great as him retiring that early, it's a shame if it does happen.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, when you think about it, I guess it's not that surprising because he's been dealing with a lot of these injuries last few years. He's played a ton of fucking hockey. He's one of the few goalies in the league. You were saying before about like standalone great goalies. He's one of them. He's never had the team to go far, but he's dragged them to be in certain positions. So Carey Price is fucking amazing. He's at that certain age now. Like, he's even just a couple years ago, he's playing like 65 games a season. So yeah, I could see it, man. But hopefully for him, he's still good to go.
Yeah, I think this is his way of maybe saying it's done in Montreal. I don't think he's going to retire. I think there's so many teams out there that would be a good fit for him. It's just going to come down to Montreal retaining salary, and they probably could do it because they're rebuilding, and looks like they're going to get the first overall selection. They're not going to trade that pick. So I think they'd be smart to just honor him for taking them to the Cup final. They let him go in the expansion draft, and Seattle didn't take him. So it looked like they knew what they were doing there. So I think just trade him, ask him where he wants to play, and send him there out of respect. So I think that's what they should do.
I love it, boys. But that's it for hockey for today. Talked a lot about it. We got to go now to the court. Talking about one of the more disappointing, I mean, not for me, but if you were in Phoenix, Arizona a couple nights ago, watching that Game 7, that blowout, that embarrassment. I'll start with you, Aulino, because you're, of course, you hit these once a year, and maybe more than that. You make a prediction as bold as ever, as bold as the freaking Caps and Microsoft Word, and you get it right. This is another one. The Dallas Mavericks absolutely boat raced Phoenix at home. What were your thoughts on the game? What were your thoughts on the energy level? And how about DeAndre Ayton barely playing in this one?
Yeah. I remember Devin Booker was really confident, rightfully so. Drained some threes in the first game, second game too, and everything's looking positive. Chris Paul, they do that same stupid shot when he goes to the bench, and looking how tired he is, like they have to prove something and say that pumping up his stats, like look how great he is, like good for him, 36 years old, playing amazing. But then you look at the rest of the team, how confident they were, rubbing it in. You see Luka Doncic just calmly go to the bench. Jason Kidd, Hall of Famer, NBA champion over there, giving him some advice. And Devin Booker, again, just stirring the pot. As soon as he gets a three there, he stares at Jason Kidd in the bench and holds the pose. And Luka Doncic took that shit personally. We saw what he did. It was vicious. And now you know what's going to happen. Everyone's going to put that narrative on Phoenix because they had over 60 wins this year. And what did it do in the playoffs? Nothing. Luka Doncic just showed them he can win with role players, and he just took out the favorite. So their stock went down big time, and next year is going to be bad if they can't make it out the first round. And here's just the comparable right there. That's disgusting.
It's pretty bad timing to have your game of the year. I don't have much to add to that. They put up a stinker. Nothing was falling. Luka had the game of his fucking life. You know what, Chris? Shout out to fucking Spencer Dinwiddie. Late season acquisition. Everyone laughed at that shit when it happened. Where the hell's he gonna play? They got Luka and Brunson. He put up 20, or he put up 30 in Game 7. There you go. It was just I was kind of surprised. Like, I love the confidence Phoenix came in with. I'm like, yeah, talk your shit. You just better back it up. And then they came into Game 7 and they did the fucking opposite of that. So, yeah, surprising one for sure.
Yeah, honestly, I was looking at I didn't know. I didn't know that they got killed in Game 6 either. I thought it was a little closer than that, but damn, man. Like, I know Milwaukee, they were up 3-2 and they blew it, but like the Celtics are a different type of beast this year. We've said it numerous times, they are arguably the best team in the league. Phoenix has been labeled the best team in the league all year, and then they do that at home, getting killed. Booker dropped 11 points in Game 7. 11 points. At halftime, he had 2. He didn't have a field goal in a half. He went 0 of 11. So you could say what you want. Devin Booker is due for a max contract, and he's obviously going to get it. But when it's all said and done, they went to the finals last year. It was a great story. They go to the semifinals this year, and Chris Paul, looking deadly, by the way, in Game 5, 6, and 7 against the Pelicans, looked absolute. Or sorry, wait, did that go to 7? No, 6. So Game 4, 5, 6, he looked incredible down the stretch. He's one of the guys that led the league in clutch points. This series, not so much. And I know after the series, my quad, I have a quad injury. Don't want to answer any questions. Bullshit. That's an excuse. There's no way. You're telling me that you're going to go 4 or 5 games in a row where you shoot not like 8 times a game? I just think that Chris Paul knew that at some point in the series that Dallas was just going to run them out of town. And Chris Paul's been doing this for years, boys. 14, 15, 16 years he's been doing this. And at this point in time, it was just sad to see because, again, you have one part of the fans say, yeah, Phoenix deserves it. They had 60 whatever wins this year. Then there's the other side, like Aulino, like me, and like Pagniello, that say, hey, you have 60 wins, it's great. But if you're going to go out there and smirk and dance and prance and do stupid shots pregame, you're not going to get that respect. And don't ever piss off Luka Doncic in a game because he's going to torch your ass. And Mark Cuban was loving it. Dirk Nowitzki was there for Game 7. You saw Lil Wayne freaking courtside. That was hilarious. He looked miserable. So I'm just happy for Dallas, man. This is the story for the ages. This was their first conference finals since winning the chip in 2011. It gave me goosebumps, honestly, boys. Like, Luka Doncic is doing this with Dinwiddie and Brunson. I can't imagine if he goes out and gets a free agent. Like, I really have no idea. He's a piece away of being almost a dynasty. That's how great Luka Doncic is.
Siakam, buddy. Give it
that. Luka to Toronto. Boom.
Luka North.
But Aulino, I want you to say, what was the nickname you gave Chris Paul before the pod went up?
Oh, that was one I saw on Twitter. It's a pretty mean one, I gotta admit. Like, people calling him the point fraud, that's a little much. Like, that's kind of mean. Like, the poor guy's 37 years old, like, looking around at his team. But I don't know. I think, like, his surroundings, I think he's gonna have a nice chat in the locker room, or he probably did already after that Game 7. That's probably the last time we're going to see this mentality of that Phoenix group, because Chris Paul could have easily went to any team. Like, you name it, he earned it. after what he did with Phoenix last year, and he decided to sign an extension with them. So that's on them, I think, more than Chris Paul. Like, you're expecting him to eventually tail off a bit, but Devin Booker not showing up after what he did in the other games, it's kind of disappointing. DeAndre Ayton is up for a max deal, talking about that he needs that money and all that. Like, he's trying to get that contract and didn't show up either. So if I'm the GM, I'm like, what the hell do you do now? You have Bridges who signed an extension, so I don't see where they're going to go next year, and everyone else is developing. What are you going to do when Kawhi comes back? You're going to put up shots and do that pose in front of him? You think Luka Doncic was fucking bad? That guy's even worse. He's going to torch you, and then he's going to send you home like Joel Embiid crying in the arena. So they got to just address that. I think Chris Paul will do that. He's a good leader, good pro, and I think we'll see a different Phoenix Suns team next year, a more humble side.
Do you guys believe in the DeAndre Ayton trade talk?
Maybe.
Because that's a pretty big hole if he's gone.
I'm getting Rudy Gobert vibes from DeAndre Ayton. Like, not the way he plays, just the circumstance and the way that maybe he feels disrespected, because, man, he was not, like I mentioned with Gobert in the Dallas series, he was not, involved at all. And the same thing here. DeAndre Ayton was not that involved. They really were making guys like Crowder, Johnson take a lot more shots than DeAndre Ayton, the guy that goes first overall. To me, that's kind of insulting if I'm DeAndre Ayton, to be honest. And I know the fact that we both said, and I know we both love JaVale McGee, but the fact that we're saying that they're interchangeable and the guy went first overall, like, that's, I don't know. That's just something that bothered me too a bit, because he should be better. He should be getting more shots. Mismatch, like, dude, come on. Who's guarding Ayton in that series? Was it Kleba and Powell? Like,
probably. What
are you doing? Like, pass the guy the ball. And the fact that it was internal and he didn't play much in Game 7. I mean, I don't know if it was Monty Williams and Ayton going at it. I don't know if it was another teammate. That we won't know. But yeah, you know what, Pagniello, I think it is true. I don't know if I'm DeAndre Ayton, the circumstances that happened the last 2 years, and he's kind of like the third cog in the wheel, and I get it. He's not better than Paul or Booker, but you go first overall and you're averaging 6 shots in a series where it's a mismatch, I would probably feel disrespected.
Oh man, they should have given the ball more. Like, I saw guys shoot out like the worst shots possible. You had Ayton right in the middle right there, go for the layup. Like, against JV, I can understand. Those guys are maybe gonna have one game where one does better. We saw JV get in foul trouble and it took him out, and Ayton went off and got 20 points. So I thought this series he should have had a lot more points, should have led the team in scoring, and that's not what happened. He barely got the ball, and now that they get eliminated, that's another one. So they have internal issues right now, and all this started, it could have been avoided, but yeah, that's a tough off season for them for sure.
It's crazy how fast the fucking narrative changes, 60-win team.
Yeah, I think it's also, man, like the power of, like I mentioned, social media. A lot of players feel a lot more important than maybe they are. And that's just reality, man. Like, this is another factor with loyalty in the NBA. It's kind of not a thing anymore. If you're on a team for longer than like 7-8 years, kudos to you, because you're doing the impossible. Feels like a superstar leaves their team every 2 years. So this might be a case, buddy. DeAndre Ayton might be on the way out, and I wouldn't be surprised if he pulls a frickin' KD, goes to Dallas.
Oh my!
Can you imagine?
Oh my god! Makes you appreciate the Raptors, though. What they've been able to do. Like, every player seems like they're all important. One will have a good game, and they all seem part of the plan, invested. Like, when you look at other teams, it's like, you know what? The Raptors actually have it pretty good.
Yeah, but I want to move on because we didn't talk about, these other 2 series that were pretty good eliminations as well. The Celtics climbed back. Last week I said they wouldn't come back. I thought they were done. And guess what? They made me eat my words. Jason Tatum, love you, buddy. They win 2 straight. Grant Williams goes off in Game 7. I'll start with you, Pagniello. Even with the Celtics' backs against the wall, against the best team, arguably, and the defending champs, They still found a way to get it done in Milwaukee in Game 6 and winning Game 7. What does this say about the team all in all, and who to you stood out the most in the series, not named Al Horford?
I mean, I guess Jason Tatum, but but yeah, they're just a great basketball team. A lot of these guys have been together. They've been through a lot of wars together, and they did what they had to do. I was surprised they took Giannis out. Not gonna lie. Well, with Middleton going out, it kind of swayed my opinion. But the way Giannis was playing too, it was back and forth every fucking game. So Horford getting rejuvenated just looks like he turned the clock back 7 years, like he's playing for the fucking Hawks again. I don't know where the hell Grant Williams came from. These guys just came onto their team and just like nothing happened. Like they've been there the entire time, and there's serious parts to it. But the narrative really should be Tatum and Brown like fucking exploding in these playoffs. They're really the 1-2 guys over there. They're taking over. They're developing as superstar players right in front of our eyes, and there's more to give with them. So, yeah, Celtics.
Yeah, I was surprised they won that. I thought like Giannis was gonna turn it around. I don't think he was gonna lose both games back to back like that. But without Middleton, Celtics took advantage there. They had a great matchup, and Tatum got hot at the like perfect time because he was struggling early on, and people were questioning. You know what? Maybe it's not going to be the year. It's just going to be Giannis going back to the final and a conference final, and then the final and winning it again. But he turned it around, and now we're seeing Jason Tatum live up to that potential there in Boston.
Is Jason Tatum a top 5 player right now?
Well, fucking 3/4 of the teams are out, so I guess so.
I mean, in the whole NBA, man.
He's this would be the year if he was the main guy and they went to the finals, they could put him there. I think before the playoffs, if you'd ask me that, I'd have him in like the 8 to 12 range with potential to obviously move up because he's like, how old is he? 22, 23, something like that.
He's only 23, yeah.
Yeah, so we're seeing it now. Like the guy's fucking amazing. He's doing it. I think he's got top 5 potential, but I think he's just outside of it.
Yeah, I mean, Aulino, Tatum being a top 5 player, arguably, is Jaylen Brown. I know he's been hot and cold, but what do you see Jaylen Brown being when it all comes together?
I think a reliable 3-point guy and mid-range, like he can get points with his jump shot. I don't think he's going to be the guy that they're going to rely on the drive to the hoop and dunk it and get the end once. I think Tatum's relied on that for more. So I think he's a number 2 on this team. I don't think he'll surpass Tatum, but they have a good duo right there. I wouldn't change it. I know there was a talk where, depending on the James Harden that would have went, if he was in shape, I would have traded Brown for Harden, but now that looks absolutely stupid. I would keep Brown, and if they can get another center to complement Horford, maybe they're a team that is probably like creeping in the 60 win range because Tatum, unbelievable player, Brown, hot and cold. It's just Horford. Like you need someone to play with them, and he's getting up there in age too.
I mean, it's crazy. Quickly, I want to end off, and then we go quickly to the predictions. But this is big news too. The Heat beating Philly in Philly. Another disappointing end to the season for the Philadelphia 76ers. I know we're going to say good because we don't like them, but the big narrative here is you go out, you do the big trade, you shake up your team, you get Doc Rivers, you get James Harden. He's not the James Harden that everybody knows and loves anymore. He's washed. That's what a lot of people say. If you're Philly, if you're Morey, if you're Doc Rivers, if you're in the franchise, what are you doing with this James Harden contract situation? Are you letting him walk? Are you having him opt in for $47 million? Like, what the hell is happening here? Because even in the post-game, boys, the whole bravado and, basically what I got from it with Joel Embiid was he's got to relax. He's not the James Harden of old. And when other player says that, I don't know if that's an insult. I don't know if that's, what's it called? Appropriate criticism or any of that. But what were your thoughts on that post game, and what's next for the Sixers?
You got it, buddy.
Yeah, for the Sixers, I think what's next is therapy. That team needs help, and they gotta address all their issues because you got Doc Rivers blowing another second round series. Everybody questioning him. It's his job security. He has to deal with that bullshit every day. You got Joel Embiid, who's injured. He gets a broken orbital, all this stuff. He's got to carry James Harden, who we thought was going to be an improvement over Ben Simmons, and it wasn't. And now their team is far worse than they are better off. And now everyone's going to talk about Ben Simmons next year when he tears the league up, when he finally plays and joins KD and Kyrie and becomes a player that everyone thinks he could be, a two-way player that doesn't have to shoot a three-pointer. And he's going to constantly be reminded of that trade when Harden slowly declines. So, yeah, they're in a mess right now.
Oh, man. Is it like he takes the 47 mil? Or it's like it's bust. Can he sign for anything else?
Oh, man.
He would have to opt out, so it's not looking likely, no. It's either a buyout option or he has to go in. It's kind of like a contract of Powell Millsap back in the day and John Wall. So you're either cap strapped or you buy him out.
So if you buy him out, it's not like he's going to fucking take less money and stay with Philly. It's... Well, I guess you got to move on because I'm not fucking paying him that. I mean, holy shit. For James Harden's sake, if he's really not the player he is anymore, like, I'm not saying he's washed, but he can't be the main fucking option. He's a playmaker now. You know, he could still handle the ball real well, and hopefully he can get his shot down properly. But, you know, you can't handle the ball half the fucking game. You can't do it anymore. You got to be a third or fourth option, something like that. You can't have him as your main guy showing up overweight to the three fucking teams in the last 2 years and still expect a fucking supermax. And it's kind of embarrassing because you traded Simmons and fucking Curry and these first rounders to get him, and then you lose in the second round, and then he's going to walk for nothing. So you're basically starting from scratch with all those fucking players. So the whole situation's just a big fucking fail, honestly.
Yeah, it's fucked. I mean, I really don't know what to expect, boys. I mean, you trade Ben Simmons, the guy has back issues, and you get James Harden, expecting him to be that elite facilitator, the guy that can be the secondary option behind an MVP caliber player in Joel Embiid, and didn't work out. So there's a lot of questions moving forward, but just to end the pod, I want to get your predictions on the conference finals. The Heat are up 1-0. The Warriors are up 1-0. I'll start with you, Aulino. Who do you have going to the finals? And who do you think is going to win those trophies, the conference final MVPs?
Oh, yeah, those conference final MVPs. I don't know what the idea and planning behind that was. Like, I think to me, that's a consolation award. If a player wins that, they should say no thank you like they do in the NHL when they give up their conference trophies. And, yeah, I wouldn't settle for that. It's either the finals MVP or no MVP at all. I think it's going to be, I don't know, I could see Luka Doncic having a few good games, but I think the Warriors are just too good. So I'm going to go to the Warriors winning, and Steph Curry gets that award just because Klay Thompson has been a no-show at times, and then he plays well. So because he's been hot and cold, I think Curry's been the most consistent. So I'll give it to him. And from the East, I'll go Jason Tatum to take that award.
Is this new? These fucking awards?
Yeah, they call it the Larry Bird and Magic Johnson trophies.
Yeah.
Oh, that's what. Okay, I remember.
Notice I don't call it MJ's because he doesn't play for that shit. It's either a big trophy or nothing at all.
There it is.
I remember hearing about the trophies. I'm like, what the fuck are they for? No, I don't like it now. But yeah, I guess Steph, because I'll see. I'll take Golden State in that series. So I think Steph will pop off, and then I'm gonna reluctantly pick Boston. I'll take them in 7. I think Miami, they got lucky in the first game having a couple injuries. Boston having a couple injuries late. Smart and can't remember the other guys. Who was Smart and another significant player going out.
Big Al.
There it is. But yeah, I think like these two, just dogs of teams. So It's going to be a fucking war. I think Boston will take it in 7. So we'll go Tatum over there.
Gotta love it, man. I mean, I agree with your picks exactly. I'm taking Curry and I'm taking Tatum and I'm going Warriors Celtics because guess what, boys? That was my prediction at the beginning of the playoffs. Oh boy.
Damn.
I think that the Warriors are toying with the Mavs at this point. I know the Mavs are a great team. I think they're gonna win. I think both at home, but I still think in 6 games this one's done. And yeah, the Celtics Heat for sure is 7 games, no doubt about it. Those two are just Jimmy Butler's going to do whatever it takes. He's going to break someone's leg. He's going to elbow someone in the head. He's just going to do whatever it takes to win. But yeah, this was a great pod. We talked a lot. We talked about the NHL, talked about the Leafs. Their Game 7 woes continue, 5 straight years. Talked about, the NBA, Celtics, Warriors, freaking James Harden. Look at Joel Embiid's face. Oh, poor guy, man. It's okay. On the bright side, you won MVP. Oh, no, he didn't. It's all good, though. Make sure to follow us on all their socials. Make sure to listen to past podcasts. And this is In the Zone, episode 178, signing off.